to my new player's guide for Xpiratez. Something I've been wanting to do for a while since I've been really enjoying this mega mod, and I was waiting for the latest version which came out in April of 2026. This video is going to be covering about, I would say, a month and a half to 2 months of play of the mod, and I'm going to be trying to talk over some of the basic ways to get started. This is by no means going to be an all-encompassing look, because that is borderline impossible for a game of this size. So, before we get into a brief introduction, this again is a mega mod for the original XCOM, and is a complete top-to-bottom change and full conversion to it. While you do need to understand the basics of XCOM, or I should say XCOM UFO Defense, this is built entirely with brand new features. This is also incredibly not safe for work, so there are going to be a lot of pixelated breaths, some very disturbing language, and especially in some of the Bootypedia images and so on, and this is probably not the one to play if you have family or out in public. Now, this is entirely free to play as long as you have access to the files on the original XCOM UFO Defense and Terror from the Deep, and you can get those off of Steam. They routinely go on sale. I think you get both of them for like $4 or $5 when there's a big seasonal sale. And there are instructions and such of how to download and make everything work once you download the Mega Mod. I'll include a link to the mod itself in the description of this video as well. So with that, before we get started, if you're not familiar with using OpenXCOM, you can change a number of the features and settings over here in the menu. You can also look at the hotkeys, and if you're not familiar with the hotkeys for XCOM, this is a really good way to make things easier for you to learn. And it will also speed up some of the play as well. I'll try and point out some of my favorites as we play through. And here's a few more. And take note of being able to save and load personal equipment. This will make things a lot easier for you, especially given how much more there is to this. Got some settings over here. And I like to turn on, just to make things a little bit easier, the allow or custom initial base. This allows you to set your first base rather than just taking the preset. This game is hard enough as is, we don't need to make it any harder. But you can leave these on or turn them off at your leisure. Now, there's some amazing music to this mod, but considering I'm going to be talking a lot here, I'm going to keep the music very low, though I like to crank it up while I'm playing for real. With that, we're going to get started here in a second. Now, I'll be talking while I'm playing through a lot of this, but for the missions themselves, I will probably go quiet and just kind of add my dub in afterwards. We have various settings, and there is a new player's guide that is also really well done on the Xpiratez forum. I'll include a link to that as well, as a lot of the basic stuff on there will help you out quite a bit. And also goes into far more detail about some of the more nittier stuff that what I know and what I could probably describe in this video. Now, one thing that is agreed upon is you want to stay off of the lowest difficulty, as that apparently turns off a lot of the more advanced features and options that can show up. 2 should be more than suited for you. I like a little bit of challenge in mine, so I'm going to go for 3. I have not touched rough or hell, and I don't think I will ever plan on doing that. And Iron Man or Super Mutant? No. This is not the mod for that. There's literally hundreds of hours to playing a single run of this mod. Most of you watching this may never get it completely done, let alone have time to start or go through multiple times. But I'm never still going to Deserted Island. This will be like the game I want to bring. But we're not doing that for this. Alright, so here is our lovely geoscape. And we zoom in, we can see the territories of the world. To show or hide this, you can hit tab. I'm going to leave things off once we get into the game proper, just to keep the map a little bit cleaner. But the most important part about this is that where you start will affect your beginning bonus. Each region has a bonus to it, and the guide that I mentioned at the start has more details about this. But each area will give you something. Again, you can see it like kind of right here in the rogue fields. You have Hidden Expanse right there, Deviant Hive, and so on. If you go to an area that has no factor, you will just get like a basic region bonus rather than getting the region and the territory. If we really want to make things challenging, we could go right here, but that's not going to be helpful for us. Now, when I first did this play, I went with the Confederation. We're going to go with that here again. This is going to grant us early access to guns, more specifically some of the more powerful weapons. And something that's important to point out, this is being played again on version 14.1. If you're watching this guide in the future, there will possibly be changes to missions, to what will show up, and even to the balancing. So don't use everything that you see here as just straight it's going to happen in your play. When I first tried to do this guide, a few new missions threw me for a loop. So I'm going to go with the Confederation. Also, some of the names in this can be very not safe for work, and I will be editing them out just to keep the YouTube censorship bots off me a little bit longer. But don't worry, they'll get to us eventually in this game. Now, when you're setting up your location, besides a territory bonus, you also want to make sure to try and cover as much as you can, because traveling is going to be limited at the very beginning. So if you're going to be here, you want to try and cover as much of the Eastern Hemisphere as possible. If we're here in the West, the same thing. I'm going to go let's go like right around here. This way we get Canada and South America pretty handily, and maybe, just maybe, reach over to Africa and Europe. Sure. Now, because again, we were allowed to start our initial base, we're going to build it here. Like in the original XCOM, enemies will invade from the access lift and your hangars. So there are several different popular ways of building. And what we're going to go for is a very basic kind of killing floor strategy. So we're going to set up our hangar here, here, and an access lift here. And then basically all these 5 squares here, we're never going to put anything in because we just want the enemies to funnel this way. Here's our hangars. Here's the crew quarters. Your crew members will always start from the crew quarters or the burrow. So you want these as close as you can to our start. Now these security corridors, we are just going to sell them because they're not really going to be necessary. The extractor is required to do basic manufacturing. And we can have up to 3 in a base. And we're going to max this out at some point in order to properly get as much money as we can. The still is required for basically manufacturing alcohol, which is going to be our primary money maker. We do not have the ability to reproduce this just yet, which also limits what we can do in other bases. Vaults of storage, same thing for armor vaults. Prison cells is for captives. The old Earth lab is required for research. At this stage of the game, we cannot do research in any other base. And it's also going to be why setting up a secondary base will be important, as this one's going to be for everything else. And our radar, of course, for detecting. And rubble, we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll turn that off now, because we're not going to need it for much more. Now, in a few moments, we're going to get our region and territory bonuses. Before we do that, let's take a look at a few of our features here. The log, of course, is going to be showing us how much we're going to be making. What's our storage? We have 50. We're using 19. How much we're spending. Now, of course, we're going to earn money off of the various nations. So we're not going to worry too much about this 568,000 just yet. Now, here's our lovely 6 Ubers. Each one is going to feature very high stats, especially compared to the original XCOM. And they are going to be who we're going to hopefully keep alive for as long as we're playing this game. Now, as I said at the beginning, you're going to be able to set and load different character templates. This will make things a lot easier for you. And for our gals here, what's important to note is our 3 forms of attacking: firing, throw, and melee. This will determine what we want to focus them on. There's a few useful shortcuts here. Control left click will remove things from a character. Control left click on the gear here will put it on. If you want to put a weapon on without ammo, you can shift left click to unload it, which is not necessarily neat, at least not yet. Again, all our guns are loaded like that. If you want to look at the stats of a weapon or a little bit more detail about it, middle mouse button will bring up the Bootypedia link to it. This will show you again what kind of damage it does. We have piercing over there, as well as how much time units it will require. More advanced weapons will draw power or gain additional bonuses from different skills and stats. This is a very important way to allow certain weapons to pop. You're going to see that in a big way with primitive weapons. Firing will go for, of course, obviously any gun. Melee goes for melee. Duh. Melee is incredibly important in this game, and you can do a lot in this compared to the original XCOM. And throw will be used for throwing any kind of grenades or bombs, as well as primitive weapons like bows. And trust me, bows are going to help you out a lot right now. And I'm cutting in here because there's something I forgot to mention. By holding down the Alt key whenever you're mousing over any weapon, it will give you the damage value, or the estimated damage value that weapon can do. This will also factor in your character stats. So throughout this play, you're going to see the bow and arrow doing a lot of damage to characters. And the reason why is that even though the arrows start with a very low base rating, it is magnified by the character's throwing skill so far that it gives it enough damage to easily punch through a lot of early enemies and early armor, far more than pistols can. Now, this gal right here has decent firing. We're going to see who here is our best fire. It's going to be a tie between Masked Fry and Black Boots Current, even though she's only wearing one boot there. So, this is our advantage. Now, of this beginning assortment, nothing here is really going to be amazing. The old shotgun is a good standby. The Gothic ray gun is our most powerful weapon right now. We do not have the means to reproduce this ammo, so this is a emergency only weapon. So since she is decent at melee, we're going to give her this. And the shotgun is two-handed, so we can't really use it accurately like that. So we're going to go... we could just give her a flintlock and call it a day. Of course, it's cutting her for her weight, so we'll use a weaker weapon. Still too much. Yeah, so she has very low weight. And after we run a few missions with her, that will be improved. So we're just going to go with this and call it. And they just put random stuff on the gals at the start, so you're going to quickly have to get rid of it. Now, she's decent at firing. So we're going to give her the pistol. She's okay at melee, not the best. Give her this. And the Canteen O Refreshment is a way of recovering energy and stun damage. This will be very useful on missions where it's extra hot, and weather is a huge part of this game as well. She is also good with firing, not that good with melee. So we're going to have to kind of see who else has a gun that we can use. It's fine. Oop. Yeah, so this is our kind of our range weapon right now, the musket. And we don't want that on characters that have 52 firing. That's not going to be helpful. Let's give this to her. She's almost out of weight as well. Now, she's decent at throwing and melee. In fact, she is... Now, she's definitely our best melee. So we're going to try and give her a little bit more explosive answers for right now, but we are going to give her a bow the second we make it. And always good to give a knife as well. Now, she is decent at melee, not the best at fire, so we're going to give her a shotgun and a little thing to smack people around. You know, like this. And yeah, we'll give her a knife. This way we can either kill or stun. And she is just all melee. I mean, we could do something crazy like this, which could work. It is, of course, a little bit risky. I think I will give her a Molotov as well, just in case. And that does it for our 6. Oh, I almost forgot her. She, again, not much going on here, at least not until we get through our first mission. But yeah, that's going to be, I think, everyone that we have. So one of the things we're going to do first, we are going to sell this. It makes an easy 50k. And we will be expanding out very shortly once we get some of the research going. Now, another useful feature in Xpiratez is being able to view the tech tree viewer. By middle mouse clicking, this will pull up what these items or what any tech will lead to. This is incredibly huge because there's so much to this game. And if you ever want to look something up, hit Q and you can search. So if I type in shotgun, it's going to pull up all these shotgun listings. This will be very key because there's a lot of tech that requires things you may not realize in order to get to. But of our initial 4, first thing we want to do is visit a nearby town. We're going to inspect machinery, and we're going to call a meeting. The reason why is the nearby town will start giving us access to supplies, machinery will start to let us dig out and do more, and calling a meeting will begin our process of getting our gals a little bit better gear and also getting our base going. Shouldn't need to be recruiting just yet, but we shall see. While we're in the black market here, we're going to buy a few more runts because we need them for manufacturing and for making money. Now, don't want all that. Brainers are very expensive, so we can't afford a new one just yet. And if you want to remove something from the list here, right-click on it to do so. And right now, we can't, again, do a lot. So we're just going to buy 7 runts. Manufacturing, the same thing. If you want to remove something from the listing here, right-click on it until it goes purple. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to build 1 bow and get some arrows. You can use, there's several ways to make this faster. Right-click to immediately add everyone or remove everyone. So we're going to get this here. You can also use the mouse wheel here to add or remove accordingly. What I would like is to get this done before our first map. So we're going to fast forward, and there's our features here. So first we get our location. This gives us these bonuses. And then momentarily we're going to get the territory bonus. There's some vodka. And here's our first map. Or hopefully our first mission. The academy will always be the first thing we're going to be doing. Hopefully they land right. And we're better at seeing at nighttime, at least at the beginning against these, so we want to do this at nighttime. Oh, and we got bonus infamy. Nice. Oh, and now we got to pay the bill for that. So let's get that out of the way, because it does eat into our infamy. Also, while I'm selling things, right-click to immediately sell everything in that row. Also, do not sell the menacing hole or the tiny drill. They are required for major game progression. Getting rid of them is not good. So we're going to hopefully have them land. They're going to probably go in and out of our space. The bow's done. The meeting is done. I'm going to try and stay off the Bootypedia images because some are safe, some are very not safe. And if you want, you can view them at your leisure. So the first thing we're going to be getting now is our pirate style. Coming back again. Ending hours are done. So now we're just going to go straight into early money making. And we just make things infinitely. Doesn't really matter. Okay, stop right there. And before we go on our first mission, we're going to come back over to our gals. And whoever has the best throw, which is going to be you, I suppose she can do it as well. But she also has melee to help. We're going to give her the primitive bow. And we'll get rid of this. And it is time to go on our first mission. Now, weather is a factor, and I'll be pointing them out when they show up, but the ones we want to be keeping an eye on are freezing cold, scorching heat, and any kind of like chemical or choking hazard. Cold will decimate us without having any items or armor that protects against it. Heat will cause increased energy and stamina drain. If we take a cold mission right now and we try and do it, we will basically kill our run because all these gals take a long time to recover. So I'm going to give her as well another Molotov. I mean, can I? Yeah, I can't really do it. Is there anyone else I can give, like, something range? No. At least not... Yeah, I guess I could give it to her. Yeah, let's do it. Now, like the original XCOM, on the first turn, everyone, or all the enemies, have energy for reaction fire. So it is very risky to step out. Now, the advantage at nighttime is they have far reduced range. Also have increased speed on movement as well. Now, by looking at the map here, we know that they landed over there, so they're more than likely going to come from that side. I would like to complete this map without anyone taking a hit. It's possible, but we're going to have to rely a little bit on RNG. Oh, and one other thing I didn't point out here. If we go over to our controls and our features, you can set the autosave frequency if you want to make things easier for you. You can set it to 1 if you just want to save scum all the time. And for this, you can reset that. And again, this game is already challenging enough, so we're going to leave a lot of this as vanilla as we can. And Callus here is not going to really be able to do much until we see them. And if you want to run, as another point, hold down Control and left click. Oh, and for over here, we have our time units in green, energy in yellow, health in kind of pink, our freshness, I believe, in purple. And double check that. Oh, I'm sorry. Bravery is purple, and freshness is blue. And if they run out over here, our gals can start to panic. Alright, so... Ooh. Ooh, indeed, I'm popping back in. So I didn't check the weather that you can look at on the geoscape. This is considered a cold map. And since we have no defenses, it means that we're just casually taking cold damage every single turn. At this stage of the game, this is a death sentence. do not do any cold missions until you at least unlock some of the layer gear, and I'll be pointing that out when we get to that point. So unfortunately, we need them to come to a warmer environment. Our style is done. This will unlock access to some of our additional ways of having our characters grow. But we need to finish our nearby town first. The sailor uniform is okay. I'm going to try and hold out for our first. Oh, we have an intercept mission. Now, unfortunately, we do not have any means of intercepting in the air right now, so we're going to have to go with this. We may be able to get an early gal. Nope. So they gave us our bonus. And what is this? This is a human, or this is a citizen one. If we go after this, it will hurt our infamy, so we're going to ignore that. We did get some early weapons, which is really nice. In fact, that is so nice. We're going to head back here. And we're going to outfit our gals with some better weapons. The government pistol is really great at this stage. And the big iron is... it's okay. We won't be able to research these weapons for quite some time. I'm pretty sure this will also take her over the weight limit, yeah. We'll have to keep this for right now. Right, as soon as this is done... yeah, first set of runs have arrived. Let them right to work. Okay, so this is scorching hot, which means that we're going to be having reduced energy, and we can faint. Unfortunately, I don't know what we're up against just yet. Oh my. Wow, this playthrough is cursed already. We have zombies. This is a trap. You see, sometimes the game can throw a trap at you, where the map is not what the mission is. And that's what we have right here. This is incredibly bad. Zombies are not what we can handle right now. Alright, it's me again. So zombie class enemies have high health but low armor, which means that the best weapons to fight them are those that do a lot of damage and that they don't really care about armor eating some of that up. Shotguns, fire, explosions. And melee works really well, provided you have high melee characters, which, considering this is our technically first mission, I don't. I mean, it's great we have a shotgun. You see, here's the thing. You may think zombies are just the slow-moving guys who are nasty in close range. There's psychic zombies. There's ultra zombies. For the experiment for you new folks watching, we're going to play a few rounds and just see how bad this gets. Or we may just turn tail and leave. Oh, I don't like that sound. You should not be doing this, by the way. Yeah, that's a fat zombie. They are incredibly durable. In fact, it doesn't even make sense to bring that. He should be close to dying. Oh, yeah, so that's a range zombie. This is just more and more a bad idea. Getting through this will be a miracle. The only way we can possibly do this is if we get a lucky hit on her. Now, considering this is a super early map, it is entirely possible that there's only like 1 or 2 enemies here. But yeah, we really shouldn't be doing this. Basically, the only weapons that will help us right now is going to be the shotgun, the axe, and our government pistol. Nothing else will even come close. Ooh. See, when getting close, we'll be fine, except for the fact that when they die, they explode. I feel like my new player's guides of this game are just cursed. Alright, I'm going to cut in and fast forward through this basic part of the play, but I'll start a little bit about what's going to be happening here. The Xpiratez zombies can incapacitate our gals with a poison attack that doesn't dissipate. As I said earlier during the live part of this, there's no way for me to engage with them in melee. And our basic weapons are not strong enough to get through them, other than of course the shotgun and possibly the bow. And what's going to happen is we're going to get a very lucky shot on one, but the second one is just going to cause a lot of trouble. And because this is a jungle map, it means that there's very little cover other than the one tower that we're going to hold up in. And we had a fairly lucky break about what's going to happen. And again, do not be afraid to use the save and reload feature. This is an incredibly difficult mod, and at least in this early part, you're going to need to get these advantages in, or otherwise you're just going to end up failing, even before you're finished with the first month of play. Please do it, please. Whew. We were not supposed to do this mission right now. That was very bad for us. We survived thanks to that upgraded gun. We can sell items that we don't need, but right now we just need everything here. Man. What a mission. Here's our nearby town, which unlocks some very important upgrades. We want to go for culture. Now this is for selecting our codex, which is going to be kind of choosing our route that we're going to play as. It's very important, but we can hold off a little bit for it. Now what we can hold off is getting access to our guns. Now because we chose Confederate, we can also look at the Sheriff Handbook and get a free gun research. It would be nice to get some of the Confederate Eagle or the government pistol. They're both really good. Our additional items. Holes and fills is done. I need you to land so we can actually have our real first mission. Shopping. And we'll go for this. None of these weapons I really want to start with. There's another way to research for more weapons. Machinery is done. The mess hall will allow us to heal better. or at least a little bit faster, and we definitely want to get that. I also want hardware shopping because we can also use the hammer that comes with it. In terms of our money, we really don't have a lot to play with. Weapons. It will also come with a free hammer that we'll get in a moment. Sheriff is coming along. We'll go for the pharmacist. This will also grant some very early items as well. There's a hammer. And we want to put this hammer as well as the fire extinguisher that we got on our ship. Fire is very bad at this stage of the game. Here they come again. Need them to land away from the north. There we go. Now we can actually do our first mission. Because they also got a little bit of experience, we can give them a little bit better stuff as well. You're still good there. Good. Really need to give her better armor so that she can get in and hopefully smack some guys up. And again, we'll do this at nighttime and hopefully get our advantage. Okay, this should be safe. Now, once again, we need to find out where they start. Oh. They are right here. Oh, they really are right here. So she has a stun baton, which can easily knock our gals out. I don't want to deal with that. Oh. The reaction fire is big. Again, we need to be very mindful of healing right now. Let's see. She has a las pistol. That is a easy or a very cheap laser weapon. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it can be annoying. Not going to be able to avoid that without taking a hit. Let's move them out of the way. Wonder if we can get the shot from here. There we go. The big iron is, as the name implies, very big at doing damage, especially at this stage of the game. We may be able to rush in. Oh. Ow. Okay, maybe not. Alright, we're going to do things a little bit riskier here. I want to try and catch her. We should be able to do this. She just has a baseball bat. I'm not worried about her. Captors suffer massive penalties for gun when we're close to them in melee, so we can use this to our advantage. Lights out. She has a rifle. There's a good chance she may bleed out before she even tries anything. Or just do that. More promotions. And we are on our way. Trying to see why we have not unlocked weirdness yet. Okay, so we still need our culture. This should be fine. There we go. So these are our 4 first very important upgrades. Each one will give us something useful. Survival lets us get protective gear. Weirdness gives us a bunch of great options. Violence is more for weapons, and cunning will get us X-Rod, which will be our primary moneymaker. So we're going to start with cunning, and then go to survival. More importantly, we can now make our first set of weapons. Now, since the Sheriff Handbook is a complete wildcard, let's see what we get. And we just unlock bandits. That is a waste. I guess that's my punishment for doing that mission early. So we're going to switch off Moonshine, and we want to get our gals their gear as quickly as we can. You going to stop, or are you going to keep going? The rare earth element is required for making the uniform, as well as for some other stuff as well. This. Actually, no. Because it takes a lot longer, and we can get some of this cheaper stuff done first. And we get a free brainer for completing the pharmacist, which we are going to turn in right away. Back to the pirate clothing. And we have an early bandit mission, which, can we reach that? Let's see. We can. We may have taken a minor hit during that map, and she was out for a little bit. Alright, so this is another fairly simple map. Did we get... Okay, so we did get some of our pirate gear already. So, there are different versions of the pirate armor. This is better at kind of dodging attacks, and better for melee. This is better for using throwing. And this is kind of like an all-around more for evasion, but it's less inventory. And if we come over here, we can see this a little bit more in action. We go for Black Hat, we get this. We go for Pirate, we get that. And since they all have the same general armor, yeah, so you can see this is far less melee, while Pirate is just kind of like all-arounder. So we're going to go for this. And we still need our bandages for right now. Let's just go like that. For her, we're going to go for the rogue, because this is for throwing. Now you want to customize their look. You can right-click on them and change things like that. That's fine. For that. Really good melee stat now. Give her a taser. Yeah, we're not getting too much out of her. And she is still not the best. Yeah, we'll have to keep her like this just until she gets a little bit more. And hopefully she'll get some stamina. Now this one we want to do at nighttime as well because we can sneak attack them fairly well. Although it's going to depend on where they are located. We're looking for a bonfire. Sometimes I can spot it. Oh, there it is. It's on my left. Now we're going to see them long before they see us. The most dangerous one in this group is going to be anyone with an SMG, which is those two. Try and get everyone into a position before we open fire on the next turn. That Golden Pistol is still our best one. She's not going to be able to do much with a shotgun here. That was a nice reaction fire. Oh, and if you want to disable reaction fire, okay, really nice. If you want to set something to be the reaction fire, you right-click to get that little square. To turn it off, you control right-click. Alright, I'm going to turn on fast forward here, just to let the rest of this mission play out really fast. So this was just me kind of like angling to get those right shots. And the bow and arrow will slowly but surely come into its own, and you'll be able to watch that over the course of this guide. Now, enemies can panic and they will surrender. It depends on if you're able to knock out a lot of them very quickly. And there are some maps where there will be like leader enemies or any animal enemies that will prevent them from surrendering. Although I have heard in later patches that animals can surrender. Although I think I've only seen it happen like one time. But here's the rest of this mission played out, and then we'll get back to normal speed. Alright, there is a good chance he may surrender or bleed out. There we go. Now for this, we get some early, or some nice stuff we can sell for money. We don't want to sell anything that says old in it, but it's going to be for one of the factions. Right, pirate clothing is done. Everyone should already have it on. Oh, I forgot about you. There we go. Still is too light. I could give her this right now just as a basic. Our new brainer is here, which means we need to do one more research. Oh, As another point, the reason why we want to research the characters we capture is that they each have a pool of things that they'll unlock. And we won't get as many of these as we can. Some will get us access to early stuff, others are required for mission progression. If a character has, or a research has a question mark, it is a one or the other. So if I accept, I reject, or I will not be able to reject, and vice versa. And there'll be some that will have affects game progression. Those are very important as well. We have another Sheriff's Handbook. We're going to try and get lucky. Phantom Marauding again. They have this ring around that means that we cannot, they'll try and fire on us and we don't have any weapons. So unless they land, gotta let them go. The hunting bow is done. This is the more accurate version of the primitive bow. Now we can't craft it yet, unfortunately, but we're going to be on our way. High-res radar release communications, which is used for some of the ways of recruiting. A lot more things we can do. There's farming as well. We're going to go for dogs next, because they act as a really nice way of being a bonus member. So they will let us do the hunting bow. We're going to buy one, because it is the better version. We'll be able to eventually craft one, but not right now. Alright, so they're coming again. We will drop this and give her this. Once her throw gets to like 100, she will be really useful with that. Alright, come on, land. Oh. Save a sister. So this is us attacking a bordello in order to save a gal. I think we can handle this. We're getting some very tricky missions early. Oh, we have an early scientific experiments. This is a more advanced attack against the Academy, and I don't know if we can actually handle that just yet. Alright, so for this kind of mission, there will always be a main house for you to attack, and a lot of low-level thug class enemies to deal with. We can capture the hose that we can then activate or research pimping at some point. The most dangerous enemies on this map are going to be the Drifter and the Highwayman. There's always going to be both of them somewhere here. They both use kind of middle tier shotguns or some of the better pistols, and they can wreck us really bad at this point. So a lot of your basic strategy here is going to be trying to disable the basic combatants as quickly as you can. Now, another thing that I'm not sure I'm going to show in this footage or not, I think this was in when I attempted this earlier, but if you want to attack an environmental detail or environmental part, use control while you're left-clicking to fire. This can be used to knock out windows, break through walls and certain objects, and can be used for some more advanced play, such as being able to target an explosive barrel or something that you want to blow up. So, while this footage is going forward, the reason why these maps are so important is that this is going to be our early way of gaining access to castaway gals. These are gals that we can eventually recruit and add to our pool. Because, again, it's going to be very hard for us to recruit until we go down the recruitment research tree and make our choice in that line. Other than that, this is just going to be somewhat basic of play. I got some very unlucky shots here and there, which was kind of frustrating. But I'm going to let this once again play out in I think a little bit faster speed, or I may just cut to the final moments. But on this one, I did manage to cause the enemies to panic. And again, that happened with just knocking them all out very quickly. And as I've been saying, you want to try and capture as many characters as you can. This is used for research purposes, as well as you can sell them to make some really good money, at least at this early stage in the game. Now, something that I didn't talk about, I think this is a good time while this footage is playing. When an enemy is knocked to the ground, if you see bleed or blood marks over them, like that one character right there, it means they're bleeding out. That means every turn they're going to take damage, and when it hits 0, they will die. You must stabilize them by using a healing item that you can do by standing over a character and using it. Once that character has been fully healed, they will either go into a knockout stage, or they'll see Z's over their heads. What that means is that they can wake back up. If you hit them with enough stun damage, you can completely knock them out. Then you will see kind of like a ghost over their head. That means that they will die of stamina drain, unless you give a character energy. But for the purposes of our maps, it simply means that that character is not going to be waking up at any point. And it means that we're just safe to kind of leave them alone and go and capture some other characters. Alright, with the mission done, we've had a very busy month 1, for sure. We do have the castaway gal, which means we can research her and recruit her. I gotta wait for our ship to get back first, yeah. Oh, that's right, we need to get recruitment going first, so not just yet. Ooh, and we have access to the Confederate Eagle, a really nice upgrade to our pistols. It's basically a Magnum. Really good. We're not going to be able to buy it yet, but soon. We'll recruit local talent. We keep researching this and try and get all these lovely ones done. Now, before I forget, she actually use a decent weapon now. Almost. Really need to give her a melee. Good enough. This is another very short mission, so I'm just going to talk over it and explain another little detail about Xpiratez and XCOM while the footage goes. When you hit an enemy, they will flash different colors based on what happened when that shot connected. If there is no color flash, it means the shot was either dodge or didn't even do anything. If it's a bright red, that is a critical hit. That means often that character is taking the most damage, and in most of our cases, it means they're going to die. A kind of paler red means that it kind of was a glancing blow. Does damage, but not enough to cause a fatal wound. If a character flashes white, it means that their armor absorbed the damage. And in some cases, it will also mean that the armor has been damaged in that respect. Other than that, this was a very basic mission, and I'm just going to cut it and go to the end of it. Something that I didn't point out just yet is that Glamour is something that we earn for completing certain events and for doing missions fast enough. This can be traded in for some very useful resources when we get enough of it. Another simple one. What's over here? Oh yeah, the Academy one. That could be a bit risky, although we do have some better trained gals now. Can we even do that? No, actually we can't, because we're out of range. But this one will earn us some easy favor. And it's another one we want to do specifically at night. She still needs more weight. She's good. Oh, she's right at the limit. So this is going to be our first map where we have helpers. As there'll be NPCs wandering around, like this guy. And despite his look, we want to keep him alive. We actually want to keep everyone alive, because we will be penalized for civilian deaths. We may be able to recruit some of the young Ubers here as well. Uh-oh. That was a good miss again. Alright, very good. And they're just gonna wander off to their own fighting, so you gotta be fast. He may again just bleed out, but will be another raider somewhere around here, so we need to be ready for them, or highwaymen. Don't worry about that cat, it's fine. Oh, he is right there. We'll let the footage kind of roll and talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing here, what you're seeing. So against these basic bandits, again, they're not going to cause too much of a threat, at least at this stage of the game. They will try and target the NPCs when they can, and again, that will affect our score, so it is better to take these guys out as quickly as you can. And by this point, again, you can just see just how effective these arrows are at not only damaging these enemies, but having our highest accuracy to date. Other than that, this map went by pretty much without a real hitch, and we'll get some basic resources and more importantly the infamy score for winning. Alright, very easy map. Eventually we'll get apples for some of these maps, and that will be very useful for producing the rum. That will be our third kind of alcohol. Hunting is finished, so we now have merchants, which will allow us to hopefully get some of these better weapons. There's our X-Grog, so we're going to officially switch off of Moonshine. We can also make some first aid kits, which could be handy. Alright, so there's loot distribution. We can now recruit the Castaway Gal, or researcher first. And we can't do anything about these guys yet, so we just gotta let them go. Now we can try and recruit her. We are missing the rare earth elements. And we don't need some of this basic stuff anymore. We really need more brainers, and more important, we're going to need to expand this out very soon. Alright, so we have another one. Now that's a larger ship, we can't actually deal with that right now. Oop. Oh, we have our first terror, or pogrom. We technically don't have to do this. This is very high risk at this stage of the game. Now we do have a few advantages with some better weapons. This is going to be very tricky. And you can ignore this if you're brand new. This can be on the harder side. We're going to try it out just to show it off. But this is where we're going to start running into some of the higher tier units. Doing this will all but certainly guarantee we will hit the threshold for rank 1 in month 1. But this may be beyond what we're capable of. And that is definitely the case, so I'm going to let the footage go into fast forward and talk a little bit more about this. It is possible to do a pogrom on your first month, but this generation is just not able to do that. See, the military police have the highest armor at this stage in the game, and almost none of our weapons can touch it other than the bow because of its high pierce capacity. But having 3 of them or all of them spawn literally right outside of our ship means that I just can't do this without suffering heavy casualties, because they can just walk right up and just unload on us with their military shotguns. If we were able to do this, it would mean getting access to some really powerful stuff early on, as well as a massive boost to our infamy. Completing this now would have guaranteed we would have gotten to our first promotion at the end of this month, but considering just how much they are destroying me, it just wasn't going to happen. Now, at this stage in the game, it's better just to ignore a mission rather than to enter it and retreat. Now, because we are not part of the Mutant Alliance, which we'll talk about later on once we unlock factions, it means that there's no real penalty for doing this. At a later point in your play, you have the option to join them. If you do that, you must do pogroms or you will suffer a massive penalty. And it's considered good play, or smarter play I should say, to hold off joining the Mutant Alliance for as long as you can until you have your characters and your gear powered up enough that you can handle these events. But as you're seeing with this footage here, we are just outgunned. And if it wasn't for the fact that we were fighting those 3 military guys, or the military police, I think I could have done this. But yeah, they're like, if I try to rush them, they're just going to mow me down. It would also have helped to have done this during nighttime, which would limit how much they can actually see me, and give me a greater chance of trying to get that sniping going. Alright, for the infamy, we're going to, unfortunately, have to ignore that mission. Oh, did I choose the wrong one? I think we did. Yeah, we're going to have to ignore that. We do have a Ratman Rodeo, which is doable. This is one that we do not want to do at nighttime because they have better vision than us. Apparently they're better shots than us too. So for this map, the Ratmen can be very annoying to fight. They use a lot of primitive weapons, which does counter armor quite a bit. And probably one of those shocking displays. The reason why my shot missed right there was that the lieutenant wandered right in. And he is the most high value target against these characters, or against the Ratmen. So having him captured right here is a really good play. Now, the Ratmen can be very annoying. Their village always has kind of like a central hub that is multi-floor and multi-building. And sometimes, and especially in this case, you're going to have to go like room to room and try and take them out. And again, the bow and arrow continue to win here. They do have dogs, which you will have to deal with. But this is just going to be a case where having long-range weapons really will help. Now, as I said before, I guess future me cut in. The Ratmen have better night vision than our gals, and this is when you start getting to maps where you do not want to do them at night. There's a later enemy type, the Sky Ninjas. They will be your utter bane when you play this game. They all have high camouflage, they see better at night, they attack better at night, and if you try and fight them at night, you are going to be in for a world of hurt. And there are several ways to get around, of course, nighttime. You have the Magnolites, I think will show up later on in this play. You will get the Electro Flares as well. And of course, just launching Molotovs and other fire-related things around to create some light in the area. Other than that, this just turns into a Ratman hunt. So I'm going to skip to the end, and we'll get to the loot. Alright, so at the end of the first month, you're given one of your first major decisions you're going to be making in Xpiratez, and that's choosing what kind of captain you are. You'll get a notification that you can make a choice between several different options. That is the jackass, dumbass, lazy-ass, sore-ass, and none of the above. Each one is essentially a class. If you choose none of the above, you'll get additional choices you can make in month 2. If you ignore those, there's even more. And kind of the, like, quote-unquote, like, super hard option is to go with a captain that has no traits or advantages whatsoever. For you watching this, however, you're going to probably end up choosing one of these. And I highly recommend you consult the guide that I mentioned that I have a link to down below, as that will give you a better descriptor as to what all this means. So let's go over things very quickly for the video. The aspects are positive traits that will affect your playthrough. They can lead to either positive events that can show up while things are running, or will unlock unique bonuses or tech that you can make use of later into the play. The ideas correspond to the different codices that, again, we will talk about later in this video. And the point is that you want your captain to at least have some connection to your codex. If you don't, that takes you to an entirely different way of playing the game that, again, the guide will mention. And then the flaws are negatives. They will lead to negative random events that can, of course, make things either worse for you or throw a few monkey wrenches into things. And again, you have freedom to decide what you want to pick from, and this is just one of the many ways that this game goes in all manner of a wild directions based on your choices. But be sure to consult the guide. That will give you a great idea of what you want to tie everything to. For this play, or for this guide video, I went with Lazy Ass, as it corresponds with the codex that I'm going to pick that we'll come back to later on. Now the month is almost over. We have a good shot of reaching the infamy goal. We get one more mission, we may be good. We'll research this. And we are going to, first off, get some first aid kits going. By a few of you. By a few more runs. We're going to be hitting our cap very shortly. It's also why I need to research the builder hall. We get one more mission. Alright, let's go for the builder's hall, because we're going to need to start expanding out shortly. Get some violence going. The Magnolite is not bad. It's going to be our kind of small flashlight strategy, as well as the torch. And we'll also get access to those little beacon things from the original XCOM at some point. Survival is done. We now have access to protective gear. We have to research it. As well as barbarian armor. The mutinous dagger is our new character. And if we want to look up what barbarian armor is, it gives us a little bit better frontal armor, but it is heavier. It can also come with a shield, which adds more weight. It means we'll not be able to use anything that's two-handed, but will give us a bit more protection. And again, this is going to be mainly for melee characters. And she has some pretty decent stats to start with. We probably should get her a shotgun. We have a double barrel one right here. I think I may have unequipped it by accident. There we go. And we will be able to give her some armor shortly. More important, we can actually start giving some of our gals better heals. We'll make one. And we'll wait. So the month's about to end. Builder's Hall's done. This will allow us to start building out the crew quarters. And we'll get weirdness as well. Workers are characters that we can buy that they will raise our storage capacity. Now I would like to build out another crew quarter, but it is very expensive. We will have to wait until we get our money from the governments. Okay. Not bad. I think we hit the threshold for rank 1. We'll know very shortly. But with that expanded money, we're going to immediately build out a crew quarter. Probably need another prison cell as well. We'll go right here because that way we can intercept them from here and from there. Doesn't look like we hit rank 1. We may have to wait until rank 2 for this. Now they're going to be causing trouble, and we don't have the means of stopping them without having access to craft weapons. Oh, we got a Shambler Hunt. We cannot do a Shambler Hunt right now because we don't have protective gear for it. That will come after Violence and Weirdness. Unfortunately, we're going to have to let them do their own little thing. Oh, but we did get a Watchtower. A very easy early map. And we can take a look really fast. We have our Barbarian armor. Which, despite the look, is better in close range, or front, than anything else. Gives bonuses towards reaction and melee. And again, we really wanted to make her go for melee. We can give her the shield. Now, unfortunately, she can't use the two-hand hammer. But this could be fun or crazy, either one. We'll bring her along for our new mission because we need to get her some experience. Alright, violence is done, which will unlock some better melee options, as well as start letting us get some better manufacturing. But our next thing will be that. And we have the Crate of Violence, it's just a giant bomb. Alright, so someone here has to carry the hammer. It looks like it's gonna be you. What we're looking for is a big trap. I don't know what is going on tonight, but apparently we've been trapped again. Really trapped again. Okay. I want to show you guys something else when we get back to home base. Well, this mission is going to be very quickly. Because the zombies are only going to be to the normal characters. So normally there's like 3 guys, so there's only going to be 3 zombies. But there could still be one more zombie inside. Don't enter dead inside, I suppose. Oh, no, he's not inside. There you are. The bow is not the best weapon for zombies. Typically we want shotguns, fire, or melee. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. A lot more dangerous too. Alright, so here's another thing that you can do. See if I can remember how I do it as well. Here we go. So if you click on preview, you can set exactly where you want characters to be. This will allow us to make sure they're in the right spots for when we start our missions. We don't want characters to be outside. That would be very crazy to do. There we go. We have the stress call. This is a random. We can maybe have a gal, we could have someone we can save, or just some random characters. Alright, time to go fast forward again for another somewhat routine mission. For these distress calls, again, you can have a lot of things that can show up during them. And we once again got the Academy, as well as with a rare explorer, who we're going to try and capture over the course of this play. Now, this is the first time that I'm fielding the kind of close range character with our shield. And you're going to find over the course of our remaining plays with her, it did not quite work out that well. While the shield is good, it doesn't really hold up against kind of anything above like low tier weapons, because it only has about 10 additional points of armor. Later in your playthrough, when you get access to Dura Thread, that will kind of be, I think, the better option to this, but there is better close range armor. That's when we get to like the super heavy stuff like plate mail, which again, that is going to be far later in the play than what you're seeing here. Now, a moment ago, you probably saw me again use the bow and arrow to take out the Academy drone. And again, our bow and arrow is like quickly coming into their own. If we had access to basically taming animals, we could pair that with a hyena and turn them into a hyena rider for just some crazy bow sniping action. But unfortunately, we didn't get that here. So over this one, again, I'm trying to use our melee character to be both the front line as well as just get in there and smack enemies. The Academy medic, I believe, at the top, wearing that power armor or heavier armor, can be a bit tricky to fight. If you get close enough to them, they just go down very fast. But again, I took a hit, and there's not much I could do. Again, in this early stage of Xpiratez, unless you are committing to like an Iron Man or no saving or save scumming, you want to avoid as much damage as you can. Later on, I'll show off the mess hall and how much of a difference it makes in terms of heal time recovery. And with one of the codices, it will also cut things down even more. But for this one, this mission again just went relatively routine until the very end, and it was just a matter of trying to get everything lined up. Again, not having access to smoke grenades to close the distance also really hurts your melee. And I would say once you have access to smoke grenades, that's when it's good to have melee units, because they can rush in and just destroy the enemy without their friends sniping them into little tiny pieces. But there's only a few more moments of this part of the video, so I'll let it play out, and we'll get back to things in a moment. Alright, now that the mission is over, unfortunately we took one big hit. Until we get that mess hall built, we're going to be punished for a while. Now that's done, we can now get some of the protection going. I'd like to get the next tier of bow as well. As soon as the mess hall is done, we're going to try and build it. And there's a government pistol, which is the weapon that we've been trying, or we've been using really effectively. We're going to try and hopefully get that. Also need to start going through a lot of these other ones. Extra backpack may grant us some early bonuses as well. Alright, so we cannot deal with that either, right? Fun. Do this one next. I'll try and get that government pistol. The only backpacks yet to do. Back to our money. And we want the shawl and the mask in our vehicle at all times. Huh, we got a free hero. And there's our cow prod. Let's see, you show up here. Oh, he hasn't been actually put in yet. And we're going to embrace the power as well. The 6 will also hopefully get us some weapons. So this has been the pistol we've been using. Not the best at range, but an incredibly strong gun. A little bit better than the Fair Eagle that has always been one of my go-tos. There's our human hero. Now, unfortunately, I didn't see it saying that we can buy it. We are going to need to do some more research for that. Oh, and we have another free sister, possibly, to get. And let's see, we can look here really fast. Government pistol required. Pistol. So we need to get the gun emporium. To get the gun emporium, we need to research more guns. Surprising, I know. Oh, we can't even do that one, unfortunately. Color speech. Oh, we're getting an early zombie hunt, which I don't think we can. No, we can reach it. Now, this is your normal zombie mission. And I will put some more axes. We'll need some better melee weapons as well. Okay, our bow is done. So they're saying we need to research more of these starting weapons. We want to unlock the Gun Emporium. Embrace the Power is complete. Now we need to research Menacing Hole. Not enough. Now let's do it. So for this one, we do not have to worry really about guns here, other than the shotgun. Instead, every gal's gonna get some range. Get some bombs. This is another one that I'm going to be going on a high speed on because you're just be hearing like tons and tons of growling for the next few minutes. As you can see, we are definitely outnumbered. And as we've talked about before, melee is surprisingly great against zombies, provided your characters have high enough melee stats. This is also the first time that I used grenades in a very long while, as I just blew my own character up there. But grenades work very similar to that of the original XCOM, except there's no kind of, you don't need to like worry about the setting the turn. It just goes off at the end of your turn, and there are a variety of them. So one thing that I didn't mention yet that I do want to point out is that if a character suffers a fatal wound on a mission, you want to make sure to try and heal that before you end the mission, or they will suffer a greater heal time penalty when they get back to your base. So, considering that we really don't have too many shotguns at this point, this map just basically turned into a hold the fort, as I just stood in our ranger and meleeed anything that got close and threw some bombs when the need arrived. And other than that, there really isn't too much to say about this one. This is a great one to build infamy, as we're basically saving the world from zombies. And to try and cut a little bit of minutes off this overall video, I'm just going to cut to after this fight is over, as not much has really happened, and we have plenty more to talk about. Following that mission, I got another one that was another routine with taking out yet another Academy outpost. So I'm just going to let the footage play a little bit. While this is a good time to talk about how aggressive you should want to play a game like this. Melee, again, is such a very powerful feature. If you can close the distance and get to the enemy, you can take out characters who are fielding far stronger weapons with a good old axe, sledgehammer, or baseball bat. And I've been trying to play things fairly aggressive. But again, it really depends on where the enemy is, and especially if it's during their turn 1. Because remember, every enemy on turn 1 has full reaction fire. You do not want to chase down an enemy if they're facing one of your characters. Again, this is not one that had like a lot of interesting things going on. We did end it with far more prisoners than I expected, and I'll go over a brief tip as soon as I'm done talking here. Now, as you probably noticed, we are running out of room for our lovely prisoners here. So, a trick that you can do is to set them up to be researched, but don't research them, and they'll be taken out of their cell, freeing up your room for other people. We are going to have to build another jail cell, because we have a lot of people, which we can't afford just yet. So once you finish researching all about the hole and the drill, and decide to embrace the power, you at long last unlock the ability to choose your codex. And here's the page of the tiny drill if you just want to review that before we get back to it. Alright, it is time to make the second major decision of your Xpiratez play. What codex will you go for? Once again, the guide that I linked in the description will go into more detail about this, but if you're watching this right now, of course, here's kind of the brief rundown. Each codex is going to push us towards a specific playstyle, unlocking unique ships, unique events, as well as unique buildings and research we will have access to. Much like choosing our captain, this is a huge deal. It's going to change everything about our play. So, from top to bottom, the green codex represents healing and recovery. By choosing this one, we will get access to better healing options, 2 free prime Ubers, or kind of Uber gals as powerful as ones that we currently have, and is meant to be used for getting very durable characters. The golden codex is for money. You'll get access to the casino and more ways of earning lots and lots of cash, as well as a unique hull or unique ship. The red codex represents aggression and violence. This is also the opposite of the lazy ass captain that I chose at the start. So choosing that and the red codex will kind of conflict, which goes its own route. You have conflicting kind of pirate philosophies. But the red codex gets us the red forge, which allows for stronger production faster, more demon researching abilities. Yes, there's demons in this game, you haven't seen it yet. But most importantly, it grants you early access to the aggressor armor. The aggressor armor for our stage of the game is easily the best armor that's available. We are not going to see armor comparable to it, probably beyond the scope of this guide video. So getting that will basically render our gals immune to small arms fire, to a lot of melee or early melee units, and is a very powerful one indeed. The gray codex represents magic, or in this game, voodoo, and voodoo is essentially Xpiratez version of psychic attacks. We'll get early access to more magic related abilities, we'll to field soldiers or gals who will have magic or that kind of power, and there's a whole tech tree and abilities related to it. In terms of which one you want to go for, really they all give you something really neat and overpowered at some point. But red with the aggressor armor gives you it almost immediately. Money will help you, and if you're going for rapid expansion, this will get you to it. Green is great if you want to go for, again, keeping your gals alive, especially if you're going for like having very few units but making them really powerful. And gray is the challenging one. Magic has gone through, I believe, several changes over the course of this game's run. I don't know where it is right now, version 14.1, but I'm sure it can be incredibly powerful at like kind of the tail end of that research, but it is going to take you a long time to do it. So those are your choices, and again, be sure to consult the guide that I mentioned that will go into more detail. For this playthrough, since I went with lazy ass, that leans more into vision, which is also what green is, I'm going to go for green this time. And I also researched the Sheriff's Handbook again to get a heavy baton, which is a not bad melee option. I'm going to try and pull up the Bootypedia page. I will go into more detail in a moment. But I also want to get this done because I want to get all these unlocked. I'm really trying to unlock the Gun Emporium, because that will enable me to get access to some of my better weapons, which I really, really need. And that's not going to find it because there's too many. There we go. Because as you can see, it depends on a lot of things to unlock. And we really need to hit our next rank sooner than later, which I'm hoping we will do by the end of this month. For you folks, these are the pages that will tell you a little bit more about each codex. And of course, the one that I chose is the most not safe for work one. As we're fast forwarding here, we need to get up in ranks so we can start unlocking our next armor as well, and that is going to be Thread. Now we have a hero unit who's joining us. And another Ratman Rodeo. above course. She is still out for another 20 turns, or 20 days. Once the mess hall gets built, we will be able to at least get around that a little bit. And if you notice on the last mission that once again, the MVP is clearly our rogue, or our arrows for all that lovely damage. Since this was just like another standard Ratman Rodeo, I'm just going to skip it and move forward ahead in the recording. Not much really happened here, and you're going to find that some of the early missions are just going to be that. And it really doesn't come to life until we unlock the bounties, which will be occurring in a few minutes in our video. Other than that, I'm just going to fast forward to when the next major thing happens. If the mess hall is done. So as you can see, that just cut recovery time by about almost 7 or 8 days, which is a really big deal for our game right now. Will only get better once you start going more up the green codices research. We also really need to look at getting some more brainers. Because ideally, we come back over here for a second. Oh, not you. Should tell us exactly how many we have. 12. We really want to fill this place out, but 12 is 1.2 million if I did the math right in my head. So now we can trade them in eventually in order to gain favor with one of the factions. We need to hit rank 1 before we do that. We'll pause things here to go over some general tips that don't quite fit anywhere else in the video, and I wanted to get them out here at least for new players to listen to. So one thing that I don't believe I mentioned is that grenades and explosives are very powerful against large units. Those are ones that take up more than a single tile. You're not going to be seeing stuff like vehicles or, unfortunately, some of the larger enemies in this play because they just didn't show up. But the reason why they work is, just like in the original XCOM, explosions do damage per tile. So if something takes up multiple tiles, they take more sources of damage. And it's a very easy way to deal with some of the more nastier enemies that way. In terms of trying to get your economy up, you want to get the maximum number of extractors, that's 3, and fill your base with runts doing manufacturing on whatever is your money-making product. So right now we're using Xgrog. Eventually we'll get access to stuff like Chateau de la Mort, I believe, and even more. But because these bases are limited in terms of the number of researchers and the number of manufacturing, you want to get your bases fully stocked as early as you can without it sending you into the red in terms of money. And once you have that going, it becomes very easy to kind of get out of the early game. But I just wanted to fit that in here, and let's get back to it. We'd like for this guy to stop so I can get him. So we have another scientific base coming up. We can have 35. We did finish the second crew quarters, so we should expand this out. We're going to take our newly acquired male hero for a spin. Yeah, so make sure what Blazing has. Yeah, she's okay. Since not much happens on this mission, I think this is a good time to talk about some of the other character types and recruitment that can occur in Xpiratez. We have our hero unit, and heroes can show up due to random events on the geoscape. They have far higher stats when it comes to attacking, but are still limited in terms of their health and time units compared to our gals. The recruitment research that unlocks at the beginning with Weenia Male Touch, Gals Are Superior, and Peasant Revolution have their own impacts on which characters you are able to recruit, and the new player's guide that I mentioned or I linked to will have more on that. As you play through, you'll also be able to acquire small base units, such as Locknars and Gnomes. Gnomes have some of the highest kind of like mental resistance. They have really high throwing stats, but they suffer from low health and low time units. Cat girls are incredibly good at melee and dodging attacks, but they have low health, so they take a hit, more than likely they're going to die. We mentioned dogs earlier in the video, but again, they are really great at kind of holding defensive lines and getting in melee range and disrupting a lot of ranged characters. And there's of course even more that comes up. Now the reason why different characters matter is that there will be missions that will require you or restrict you based on certain unit types. A popular one is exploring tunnels that can only be done by gnomes, locknards, dogs, and other smaller characters. The reason why this will matter is that these specialty missions oftentimes have really great rewards, as well as give you a decent chunk of infamy for completing them. And it's just another way of allowing you to speed through a lot of the game, or at least somewhat speed through it in terms of getting extra resources. And while it's not do or die to do every mission, it will make things easier for you, especially when more and more of your characters end up getting wounded and need to recover. Other than that, there are even more characters and even more that get added in with later builds of Xpiratez. So again, this may not be completely accurate by the time you're watching this in the future, but just something to keep in mind as you start filling up your roster with more than just your Uber gals. Alright, so this is the turning point for our playthrough. We've officially hit rank 1. And what this enables us to do is we are now allowed to get 2 bounties. And they should be right there. Bounty hunting is a pivotal upgrade. This is required to begin pushing forward into the various tech and unlocking a lot more missions. Yes, this is priority 1. Because we can now explain the next bit of meta for Xpiratez. But first, I'm going to buy another brainer. And there is the Man Stopper. So this is the next tier up from the 6-shooter. Not as good as, unfortunately, the government pistol, which we need to get at some point. But now being able to purchase this is going to be our upgrade for all of our lovely guns. So, here's what bounty hunting does. This officially unlocks 3 factions that we are going to be working with. And if we go to manufacturing, we may be able to see them right now. Yes. So, the first one is Jack. Jack will give us access to this specific group of unlocks. This is also how we get access to the Confederate Eagle. Now, the next tier is going to be the Goblins. So they will give us access to like this specific group. And then the Mutant Alliance. By doing missions for them and giving them specific items, such as rescuing the experiment victim to the mutants, will unearth these tokens. These tokens are traded in, and we can use them to unlock more stuff. As we keep unlocking more, we will eventually unlock different tiers of bounties. So right now we're on the lowest tier. The higher the tier, the harder the map, but the more rewards we get for it. And I really want to get another prison cell. But I really should get myself another extractor so we can start pushing up the codex. And we found an old Earth weapon box. This is, for all intents and purposes, an XCOM loot box. We will probably have to research it first before they will let us look at it. But this can have something in there. And we'll be able to take a look. Oh, and more importantly, remember I said earlier not to throw out the old coins? This is why. The old coins go to the goblins. So the Waster's backpack and the old Earth weapons box. This is what can be in them. Most of the stuff is nothing we really need right now. However, sometimes we can find something amazing in them. UAC weapons are really great. There's that government pistol again. Get laser weapons. The Call is an incredibly powerful both shotgun and mid-range weapon. With the right ammo in it, it can tear through a lot of stuff. And when we run to the military faction, if they show up at some point in this video, they will be using that, and they will kill us if they get us with it. Laser clips, grenades. And this, my friends, is another super high power armor. The Misfortune armor, think of this as kind of like that super crazy armor from Dark Souls, Havel's set, I believe. Incredibly hard to move around in, but you will be unstoppable to anything other than like giant plasma or missiles being launched at your cows. So let's see what we can get out of them. And our manstoppers have arrived, and we are immediately, if not sooner, swapping to them. The carbine, which is a machine gun, not the best, or not what I really wanted. Let's see. And yeah. Just like in real life, loot boxes always ruin me. We'll research the big iron as well as get it out. The domestic shotgun is a pretty solid upgrade to it. Clips have arrived. Another brainer. We could maybe do that mission now, if we can survive the cold. I believe this is the first time we're equipping protection during this play, so I'm going to pause it here. All the protection items that you can manufacture, they will go into the wear slot on your characters. And you cannot equip multiple copies, so once you have one of like these fancy shawls, you can put multiple ones on to get a greater benefit. And when you check the item in the Bootypedia, it will tell you what it protects and a good idea of what the resistance is. For our purposes here, the Fancy Shawls is our first tier of cold resistance, and along with the pyro that we're wearing, should be enough to keep all the gals from taking any cold damage. As we talked about earlier, you have the kind of, I think, dusk masks that allow you to protect against choking, and there'll be additional ones that will show up later in the play, but unfortunately not for this new player's guide. They can also provide heat resistance, as well as protect you from other ailments as well. But still, whenever you find something, be sure to check the Bootypedia page to learn more about it. So this is going to be the last actual battle I'm going to be showing in this video. And it kind of, I think, does a good job of highlighting again just how many more actions you have per character compared to base XCOM, and the usefulness of melee. Remember, if a character is in melee range of another character, they will stop them from using any weapons, or they'll block them, but it will use up their energy. Again, that is the yellow bar in the kind of GUI at the bottom. So you can use this to kind of stop nastier enemies from doing anything by just surrounding them with characters that of course have a melee weapon and keep them from being able to use their range. Now of course, this doesn't work perfectly all the time. If the characters run out of energy, they will be able to use their gun, and if you're up against nastier melee characters, such as the Xpiratez and some of the more advanced zombie type enemies, the strategy kind of falls apart. You need to be able to kill them before they do much. But again, once you kind of get into the routine of how you play this, a lot of these basic maps become more routine in that respect. Unfortunately for this guide, unless we turn this into like a 4-hour long video, we're not going to be able to show off some of the more nastier enemies, such as vehicles and so on. But this map is going to end with them surrendering, because I just did so much damage to them so early on. Other than that, I'm just going to let the rest of this footage play out, because it'll be about another minute or two, and then we'll kind of get into like the final part of this video. It's more important for us long term to go for the extractor, but the prison will be next. But this guy is already starting to get very long, so we may be ending it here. If people want to see a part 2, let me know. So this needs 69 heroes' blessings. We get them for completing various tasks. Alright, it's me again. I'm pausing here for a second, because I didn't mention this, or I didn't really go into too much detail about this during the part. But you look at the bottom of the screen where it says Special Project Use Drill. This is what is required to activate your green or whatever codex you decide to choose. It will require you to have at least 75 manufacturing space, which will require you to have at minimum 2 extractors in your base in order to move this plot forward. Once that's done, it will kind of do its own thing until the event finishes and you are given the green codex and the official bonuses that come with it. And it's at that point that the events will start to unlock as your game progresses. So the big iron is pretty solid, but as you can see, it has far less accuracy compared to the Manstopper. While the government pistol is kind of the best of both worlds. Another thing to keep in mind, one reason why the government pistol is superior is that it is the only weapon, as you can see of this track, that gains a bonus for firing. We still do not have any craft weapons. We just got a free Uber. Another way of recruiting as well. And I also want to show you this really fast. As we complete some of these topics and get researches done, there will be events that will unlock and kind of move different stories forward. And there will be some that will require specific items. There will be things that we can research that will allow us to get more interrogation done. I believe it's called the Persuadatron. So until we unlock that, this remains unavailable. But as you can see, there's still a lot of these. And this right here, Old Earth books, this is incredibly important. We can get our hands on this early. This allows us to advance in research far faster. And again, why the Academy medics are so worth it to capture whenever you can. Because the researcher does not have that on their list. Oh, they must have... Never mind. They have them as well. But the problem is, it's 1 out of a 62 choices to get. So we'll need to capture a lot of them in order to get that. But getting it early does matter for us. Sadly, we just cannot do any of these until we get our hands on craft weapons. Here's our Fuso knives. We could establish more hideouts, but at this point we don't have air, we don't have research, and we don't have full manufacturing, so it doesn't really make sense to spend that money. The gun Almanac gives us the recoilless rifle. This is an anti-tank or anti-vehicle weapon. We don't have a lot of those right now, and you haven't seen any vehicles yet in this play, but they exist. They are nasty, and until we have answers for them, we need to avoid those maps whenever possible. Ooh. We still got money. And if I need to make money as an emergency, we can still not only sell a lot of the people we have captive, but we've been hoarding a lot of gold and money bags. And those can't be destroyed at all, so that's why I'm leaving them there. But if we need it, we're not going to go poor, at least not yet. Oh, and there's a chain gun. And UAC might sound familiar to some Doom fans watching. That's because we fight Doom enemies at some point. Alright, so the mission that we just got, this is the first of the Prepper Camp maps. This has us fight a lot of bandit class enemies, lots of dogs. They have access to a lot of weapons, but they can be incredibly hard if they get us at the wrong angle. But I think that is more than enough. With all the footage I have, I wanted to keep this under 2 hours, especially with the fast forwarding I'm planning on doing. But this should give you a good head start into playing Xpiratez. If you want a part 2 video looking at things a little bit more, perhaps getting to the Green Codex itself, let me know down in the comments. But thanks for tuning in to this play. I really do love this one. I still want to do more with the XCOM files as well, but that is another massive amount of game to play. But thanks for watching. Do all YouTubing stuff. If you're interested in design talks and indie games, be sure to check out the main channel. And have a great rest of your night.